In a push to combat COVID-19, Missouri Southern and the state of Missouri announced incentive programs to get more people to get the shot. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer calls for a test vote on proposed infrastructure spending. I'm Mal Rivera in Washington with more on why Republicans say it's too soon coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Aubie. The Kansas State Highway Patrol says a Florida woman died after a crash in Bourbon County. Authorities say 23-year-old Fabiana Inez Sierra of Miami was driving south on Kansas Highway 7 when she drifted across the center line and collided with another vehicle. One of Inez Sierra's passengers was injured, another was not. The driver of the other vehicle was not injured. GoFundMe is set up to help the owners of employees and playmakers who work at Playmakers Sports Bar and Grill in Chanute, Kansas, which caught fire yesterday. The Chanute Fire Department says they responded to the fire after 5 p.m. and found smoke coming out of the second-story window and rear of the building. Firefighters stayed through the night to make sure the fire was out. Kansas Fire Marshal's office is investigating the fire. The owners of a now closed girls' boarding school in Humansville, Missouri have settled 4 civil lawsuits alleging sexual and physical abuse. About 24 girls were removed from Circle of Hope Girls Ranch last year during an investigation into abuse allegations spanning several years. The owners now face 100 criminal charges, including statutory rape, sodomy, physical abuse, also neglect. Doug Hattie joining us now with first look at the forecast. You know, Doug, same old, huh?
Yeah, and not bad for us today. Temperatures mainly into the upper 80s, 4 highs, warm across the region. We started at 64. Normal highs 91, so still a few notches below where we should be for this time of the year, but nothing going on here. It's very hazy outside, but we really don't have any clouds or anything going on. Any rain as well to our south across southern parts of Arkansas. Temps right now, we're sitting into the upper 70s. We'll drop back into the upper 60s a little bit later on tonight. Not much of a heat index. It's a little bit on the humid side, but in general, it looks pretty good. We'll drop back to about 67, 78 by 10, 85 by noon. High temp near 90 for us tomorrow, but it really heats up the next few days. We'll look at that here in a bit.
Doug, thank you. Missouri Governor Mike Parson announces a new vaccine incentive program. Missouri's vaccination rate sits at around 40%, among the lowest in the country, as the Delta variant causes spikes in cases as high as in January. Now, more organizations and the governor have rolled out incentives to get more residents vaccinated. KOAM Zach Dodge has more details.
Mount Vernon native Lacey Stokes is choosing to look at the positives.
I'm excited for basketball mostly.
She's about to start her first year at Missouri Southern as a dental hygiene major and basketball player.
I'm hoping to actually get to play all of our games without, worrying about getting quarantined.
Have you been vaccinated?
I have not been vaccinated, no.
With classes starting in less than a month and cases in the area on the rise,
as of right now, we're averaging about 35 cases per day.
The university is trying to get more people like Stokes to roll up their sleeves.
With the resurgence of the COVID activity around us, we feel it's necessary to offer an incentive.
The university's new vaccine incentive program will give 2 vaccinated employees $250 every week, and after 4 weeks, 1 employee will win $2,500. They're also working on incentives for students.
Anything we can do to further encourage them to get vaccinated, we feel is a necessary effort on our part.
The Missouri VIP campaign will give vaccinated Missourians a shot at winning $10,000.
Missouri Governor Parson also announcing a vaccine incentive program. Between July 13th and October 8th, 900 Missourians who have or will get vaccinated will win $10,000 each. Parson hoping it will help educate residents about the importance of getting vaccinated.
The ones that really are maybe on the bubble, maybe the ones that are trying to figure out, do I or do I not? We want to encourage them to take that vaccine.
The biggest question, though, will the incentives actually do what officials hope?
I hope that, time will tell.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The governor also announced that local health departments are going to have funds to give up to $25 to each vaccine recipient, up to a total of $11 million. We have more information on the state's vaccine incentive on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Many women who are pregnant or recently gave birth have raised concerns about how getting the COVID-19 vaccine could affect them or their babies. We spoke with Freeman Health System OB/GYN Dr. Angela Langer to learn more about the safety of the vaccines. Dr. Langer says vaccines are safe at any point during pregnancy. She says there is no greater risk of miscarriage from the vaccine.
But the final data that came out about that is the people who were vaccinated versus people who are not vaccinated and pregnant. Their miscarriage rates, their adverse outcome rates were exactly the same. There was no increase.
Dr. Langer also says there has not been a documented case of a pregnant woman transmitting COVID-19 to her child in the womb. COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the nation as officials look at all measures possible to prevent another outbreak. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more now from New York.
Coronavirus fears are mounting as vaccination efforts have stalled across the nation. States with low vaccination rates are reporting increased COVID-19 cases, largely due to the highly transmissible Delta variant.
We have to stay vigilant, especially with the Delta variant that's out there. That's why we're focusing on our next phase on getting the unvaccinated vaccinated.
Meanwhile, there is no announcement on when the Biden team will lift a ban on foreigners looking to travel to the U.S. Earlier this week, the State Department and the CDC issuing their highest warning against travel to the U.K. This comes as infections across the pond are now rising by more than 50,000 cases a day. The head of the World Health Organization says the global community should remain cautious.
Anyone who thinks the pandemic is over because it's over where they live is living in a fool's paradise.
Cities across the country are also contemplating reimposing mask mandates. In New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy says he'll bring back mask requirements if he has to. And elected officials in Las Vegas are worried about a COVID-19 surge and the effects it may have on the local economy. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says he's frustrated as the Big Apple reports about 600 new cases per day.
They're saying, well, we're going to wear a mask, so we're not going to get vaccinated. That's crazy.
And a new CDC report says life expectancy fell by 1.5 years last year, mostly due to the coronavirus pandemic. In New York, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
This afternoon, Senate Democrats held a procedural vote on the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, but the motion failed with the final vote 49-51. In a last-minute maneuver, Senate Majority Chuck Schumer flipped his vote, making it possible for him to bring the measure back up on the floor at a later date. Republicans have been asking him to hold a vote until next week. Some more of the details still to be hammered out. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in D.C. now with the latest details.
For weeks, a bipartisan group of senators have been working on finalizing the text for a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. While they're not yet done, they say they are close.
Every member of the caucus understands that the clock is ticking, and it's going to be extraordinarily important to come together.
With August recess just around the corner, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to speed things up, setting a test vote Wednesday to break the filibuster on the motion to proceed the bill.
The motion is not agreed to.
He argued the procedural vote wasn't a deadline for every final detail in the bill.
The bipartisan group of senators will have many opportunities to make their agreement the base of the bill, even if they need a few more days to finalize the language.
Republicans blocked the vote with key portions of the bill still unresolved. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell calling the effort to advance the bill a political stunt.
Around here, we typically write the bills before we vote on them.
If the bipartisan infrastructure bill doesn't pass, some wonder whether some of its elements could be included in a separate $3.5 trillion package that includes funding for child care and family service programs. Democrats hope to pass it along party lines, while Republicans balk at the cost.
It will take an inflation problem that we have today and pour jet fuel on it.
Some members of the bipartisan group of senators say they'll keep working on the infrastructure bill regardless of Wednesday's procedural vote. Senator Schumer says he intends to pass that bill and the $3.5 trillion budget blueprint before August recess. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Hartley Record served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 46. Native of Chinook, Kansas, Record was stationed in Germany, earning the World War II Victory Medal, among other awards. we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Hartley Record. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast a bit later. The NFL giving Fort Scott Community College a grant to start a women's flag football program.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. Temperatures actually pretty good. We went into the upper 80s. Of course, that is warm, but a little bit below where we should be for this time of the year, and that's how it's been all month long. Temperatures mainly into the 80s. We had one day that we made it into the 90s after June was actually fairly hot, but we are going to heat up once again as we go through the next couple days. Great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but you can see a very hazy sky this evening, and that's what we're going to be dealing with over the next several days due to all the wildfires out to the west. That smoke gets up in the upper atmosphere and rolls across the country. It causes the very red sunsets as well, but the visibilities were really down for us this evening. Temps right now sitting mainly into the upper 70s. As we go through the rest of the evening hours, we'll drop back into the upper 60s. Humidity is starting to creep up. We're in that 65 to 70 degree range, kind of that sticky to muggy range. And the humidity is really going to go up over the next few days. But nothing going on outside, just hazy. Any showers, any thunderstorms down across central and southern parts of Arkansas. You can see this counterclockwise spin across Texas, a very weak little wave that is going to lift a little bit closer to us the next couple days. As it does so, it will give us a few isolated little thunderstorms, but most of the rain is going to stay to our south. But in general, we're just kind of dominated by this big ridge of high pressure that has been kind of anchored out across central parts of the Rockies, kind of keeping us warm to hot and fairly dry. That's what we're going to see tonight. A few little clouds are going to rotate in. Tomorrow afternoon, again, a few spotty little isolated thunder showers in our southern counties. Most of us will stay dry. Here's your day planner, 67 to start, 85 by noon. High temp, a little bit warmer, about 89 during the afternoon. Tomorrow night, looks good, clear skies once again. And then as we roll into Friday, a little bit hotter again. Temperatures near 90 degrees. I think most isolated thunderstorms will stay mainly south of the region. Heat indices also coming up. For tomorrow, heat indices about 92 upwards to about 94. By Friday, heat indices 95 upwards to 100. So it really starts cranking up as we go through the next few days. As we go into the weekend, there's still going to be some isolated little thunderstorms out there. I'm going to keep it dry until Sunday into Monday. Then I think we'll have better chances to get scattered showers and thunderstorms by the time we head into early next week. But still, not much in the way of rainfall. 89 tomorrow, 90 on Friday, 92 Saturday, 94 by Sunday, and then we just kind of hold into the mid-90s most of next week.
It's always something with that haze, you know, when there's a wildfire out west. We see it.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's hazy all the way to the East Coast.
And certainly we continue to think about the firefighters and residents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doug Katie, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, as always. A muffin maker for a variety of companies and chain stores is recalling some of its products for a possible bacterial contamination. Give and Go Prepared Foods Corporation says it's recalling certain muffin products because of the potential of Listeria contamination. Name labels include Uncle Wally's, the Worthy Crumb Assorted Large, the Worthy Crumb Oreo 3-pack, Stop and Shop, 7-Eleven Selects, Freshness Guaranteed, Great Value, and Market Side. For a complete list of product codes, just go ahead and visit FDA.gov. Coming up, an update on the U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan.
The longest war in U.S. history is almost complete. I'm Marianne Rafferty with a look at the ongoing U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan as conflict heats up in the Middle East.
President Biden says the U.S. has accomplished its mission in Afghanistan, but as troops continue returning home, Afghans fear Taliban is only gaining more traction and control in the Middle East. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty reports.
The U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is now more than 95% complete, ahead of the August 31st deadline. It's news former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is happy about, bluntly saying it's time the Afghans took matters into their own hands.
They need to fight for their own country. We don't need to send Americans to fight if the Afghan people are willing to fight for their freedom.
But as the U.S. moves out, the Taliban continues creeping back in. Taliban officials recently claiming to have regained control of roughly 85% of Afghanistan, something Afghan leaders fully denounce, as government officials completed a round of peace talks with Taliban leaders Monday. However, efforts to achieve peace remain fragile. ISIS is claiming responsibility for 3 rocket strikes near the Afghan presidential palace Tuesday. And Afghanistan's president spells out a message to all terrorists that the country will not fall. But back home at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, senior chaplain David Sparks is ready to see an end to the conflict that's killed more than 2,000 American soldiers. Sparks has spent the last 20 years guiding the families of the deceased through prayer as the remains of their loved ones killed overseas return to U.S. soil.
Pray for a time when nations do not rise up against nations.
Meanwhile, fears of the Taliban's resurgence haunt many Afghans, with the Biden administration now working to help more than 2,000 who previously worked for the U.S. settle at a military base in Virginia. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Next, going to visit St. Louis, where a pandemic task force there is urging everyone to once again wear masks in public. More than $1.5 billion in emergency rental assistance was given out to cash-strapped Americans in June. All told, the Treasury Department says the government helped out 290,000 households. That's a more than 50% increase in the numbers served in May. Could it be a return to masks in Missouri? A pandemic task force in St. Louis is urging everyone to wear one in public as the region and country, as we've been hearing about, deal with a surge in COVID-19 cases from the new Delta variant of the virus. Fox's Andy Baker has this story.
St. Louis County Executive Sam Page and St. Louis City Mayor Tashara Jones say a new mask order is certainly on the table, but we're not there yet. And we're already seeing a jump in the number of people masking up at shopping centers around town, like the Brentwood Promenade.
We are strongly encouraging all citizens of our region to return to or to continue wearing masks in public places.
The task force reports 7 new COVID deaths in the St. Louis region in the past 24 hours, 49 new daily COVID hospital admissions, tied for the most since April, 279 total COVID patients in area hospitals now, the most since February. Nearly all are unvaccinated. The task force is urging even those who are vaccinated to wear masks and social distance again to keep from spreading the Delta variant of COVID-19, which is proving far more contagious than previous strains of the virus. Dr. Clay Dunnigan of the task force says this applies to all places where you can't be sure of the vaccination status of those around you. Restaurants, shopping centers, schools, churches, plus Cardinals games at Busch Stadium, even though they are outdoors. He says masking should continue until Missouri gets beyond the 70% vaccination rate. Right now, we're around 50%.
I'm vaccinated. I vaccinated for a reason to not have to wear a mask, but I don't know.
I think that if we're smart, we can keep with many of the activities we're currently enjoying. The challenge is that we need to wear a mask now while things aren't hectic in order to avoid that real meltdown in the future.
I think it's easier to understand that we're going to need to do this because it's traveling around the world and it's not just us.
To me, it's like wearing a seatbelt. You get in your car, you put your seatbelt on. You get out of your car, you put your mask on.
Page and Jones say, though, they are not announcing a new mask order for St. Louis City and County today. It is certainly a topic of conversation, and they are actively studying additional steps to rein in the Delta variant in the St. Louis region.
The unique invention, keeping a dad and baby together. Look at that. Also going to hear about the middle school kids behind this invention. A man in Maryland right there who needs a wheelchair to get around can now still take his newborn son out for a stroll, thanks to students at a middle school. Students at Bullis School's Innovation and Technology Lab in Potomac built a device which allows a baby car seat to attach to a wheelchair. Take a good look at that. Chelsea King spoke with the head of the lab, asking what could be done to help her husband Jeremy, who had brain surgery and needs to use a wheelchair. Students also built a device which allows a person in a wheelchair to push a stroller. So, as little man gets older, Jeremy can still do his part as a father and push the stroller. That's awesome. Good for those kids to invent that. Today is National Junk Food Day, just in case you didn't know. And a Google search trend study found that donuts, pie, and ice cream are the most popular junk foods nationwide. Respondents say they spend $20 a week on average on sweet and savory snacks. The unofficial holiday doesn't seem to be a one-day affair, though. More than 1/3 say they get their dose of junk food daily. I think, taking a quick poll here in the studio, the one junk food or food that's not good for you on a daily basis are donuts, right? At the top of our list, right? Donuts. Nick Kelly, you said Crunch Bar. I have to say donuts too. And Snickers bars. Donuts and Snickers bars. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. A Fort Scott, Kansas artist and recovering alcoholic, showing how his artwork helped him get his life back on track while beautifying his hometown. The Olympics officially getting started. The Wacky Museum Olympics, anyway, over in Crawford County, Kansas. Fort Scott, Kansas artist is enhancing parks in the area by painting some large and colorful murals, and have already become popular tourist attractions. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to this artist, who says his passion for painting helped him escape a life of alcohol addiction.
What started as an attempt to clean up graffiti in Fort Scott's Gun Park has turned into something beautiful.
There was some derogatory graffiti down there. Someone started covering up, messaged Steven saying, hey, would you like to go cover this up? Steven informed me that he was the one already covering up at the cover of darkness, and that if he had some permission, he could get done a lot quicker, and that's kind of how it started.
Fort Scott Mayor Josh Jones is talking about his friend and local artist Stephen Toll, who partnered with the city to create this beautiful butterfly and flower mural in an area of Gun Park that had been defaced. The mural is a hit with park goers, but it's also done a lot for the artist himself.
I'm in recovery. I got 3 years clean, but I chose art as a different outlet, for a positive outlet instead of obviously partying and drinking.
Steven says focusing his energy on something he's passionate about was instrumental in changing his life, and encourages those struggling with addiction to try a similar route.
As an addict, you can turn that into a positive if you just channel it into something positive like art, instead of drugs and alcohol. If you take that same mentality and put it towards art, you know, you can go places.
And Stephen is going places with his hometown of Fort Scott. He has also completed multiple murals in the city's riverfront park, including this one of Fort Scott hero Gordon Parks. Not only is the art a hit with locals, the murals are also turning heads among visitors.
You drive down the riverfront and you see people coming in that are tourists stopping, taking pictures in front of it. It's definitely been an attraction for locals and the tourists that come to town.
And that's who Stephen has in mind with his latest work in progress. He's currently painting these angel wings at a Gun Park rest area, which are popular for taking pictures, and he doesn't plan on stopping there. In Fort Scott, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to learn more about Stephen Toll's artwork or photography, you can check out his professional Facebook page. We've put a link to this on this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Future doctors studying in Joplin got a guided tour of the city today. First-year student doctors at Kansas City University's Joplin campus were taken on a bus tour by the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce. A majority of the students are new to the area, so the chamber wanted to help them get acquainted. Some of the stops they made on the tour included Wildcat Glades, the Empire Market District, also downtown Joplin.
It was interesting just to see a little bit more of the town. Me and my wife have been here for a couple weeks now, and we've dipped our toes in places, but to actually get to look around and find the places we didn't know about and get to do another dive into places that we have found.
School officials say there's about 160 students in this year's incoming class. The Dance Pit in Frontenac, Kansas is celebrating some big accomplishments. The dance team recently went to Branson for a national competition facing more than a dozen other dance studios. The Dance Pit won 2 national titles and also a second runner-up national title.
I get to spend time with friends, and I just love dancing because I really get to express how I feel, and it's just very fun.
That's awesome. Congratulations, guys. The Dance Pit is also celebrating its 10th year of operations. Tokyo Olympics started this week, so the Crawford County Historical Museum put their own twist on the games. They hosted the Wacky Museum Olympics, which was a big water balloon and pool noodle fight between dozens of kids and the Pittsburgh State football team.
It really is a community effort to come out that really supports our local history and helps keep the museum doors open, because what better way to learn about one's local history than a local museum?
The Historical Museum started doing Wacky Wednesdays annually 6 years ago. 4 state county fairs continue, including this one over in Wilson County, Kansas. It started today in Fredonia. It goes until Sunday. Today's events included a 4-H horse show and free hamburger feed.
Just getting to spend time with him. I really like the TLC time, cleaning him up, making him look real nice and pretty, and like show horse basically.
Tomorrow's events include several animal judgings, including swine, cattle, also a rabbit and poultry show. Today was the final day of the Woodson County, Kansas Fair. Folks were able to have one last day enjoying all the activities, including a dinner and trophy presentation to all the winners of the livestock shows throughout the fair. Then the fair was capped off with a livestock sale.
You get emotionally attached to these animals. I know this pig this year I'm selling, I'm awful attached to him. He was kind of a comeback story. He was kind of a run of a litter and everything, and we fed him up, and he ended up winning his class. We didn't think he was going to make weight, and he made it pretty easily.
There are several county fairs going on right now in the area. For information on them, just head over to our website, koamnewsnow.com/events. A bit later, the argument of getting rid of unnecessary rules at the southern border.
Democrats want the administration to rescind more Trump-era immigration policies, but Republicans say it'll allow for the spread of the coronavirus. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on the border situation coming up.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Wednesday for us today. Temperatures pretty good, warm, of course. Upper 80s, 4 highs, a little bit warmer than what we did see yesterday, but not technically hot. The 90s will return later on this week. We still have a couple more days of temperatures not too bad, and then the humidity, the heat, of course, will start to increase. Pretty good day. Had a lot of cumulus clouds, very hazy sunset across the region due to the smoke from the wildfires out to the west, but in general, pretty good. Pretty nice evening. Looks pretty good for us during the overnight hours for us tonight. Temps right now, mid-70s. I think most of us will drop back to about 68 or so later on tonight. And then our dew points, measuring how much moisture, most of us are sitting in that kind of 65 to 70 degree range. So if you look at our dew point tracker, that puts us in that sticky to muggy range. And our humidity is also going to creep up a little bit over the next few days. All right, we look good. Nothing is popping up on the radar. Here you have to travel south before you find any showers across southern parts of Arkansas, which are dying out due to losing the heating of the day. But there's this little spin out across central Texas. Weak little wave that's going to get a little bit closer to us over the next day or two. So some of these isolated thunderstorms could shift a little bit farther north. Besides that, we're just kind of dominated by this huge heat dome out across the central parts of the Rockies, and that's really going to heat us up by the time we head into the weekend. Tonight looks okay, upper 60s. We'll have a few random clouds. Isolated thunderstorm or two, mainly in our southern counties for us tomorrow afternoon, but most of you are going to stay dry. 67 to start, 85 by noon, high temp of 89. South winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, any thunderstorms that would pop up are gone. Then it looks pretty good by the time we head into Friday, except our heat starts to increase. We approach 90 by the time we go into Friday afternoon, and then it gets even a little bit hotter as we go into the weekend. Heat indices also coming up, humidity starting to increase, so heat indices 92 to 94-ish for us tomorrow, and then they really go up 95 to about 100 by the time we head into Friday, and then above 100 as we go into the weekend. Rain chances still very low as we go through most of the weekend, so it's a good weekend to do some outdoor activities like at the lake or the pool because it's going to be so hot, but we're going to be mainly dry. But as we get into early next week, we'll start to see some chances for showers and thunderstorms increasing. They're going to be hit and miss, but at least increasing by early next week. 89 tomorrow, 90 on Friday, 92 Saturday, 94 by Sunday, and then we just kind of hold into the mid-90s most of next week.
The heat has to return, doesn't it?
It does. It's July.
It's July. Doug Heddy, thank you. Coming up in sports, the Outlaws continue a 4-game series against the Bombers. Also, a women's flag football program is coming to Fort Scott Community College. Danny Terzer has the details next.
Fort Scott Community College is starting a women's flag football program. They are one of 11 NJCAA schools to receive a grant given by the NFL. The program is in its early stages, currently recruiting talent. Head coach April Williams expects the team to play a full schedule in its inaugural season, which will be held in the spring of 2023. Fort Scott is eager to be able to provide women with an equal opportunity to pursue the sport of football.
Because of the closeness of the relation of two sports, they will feel like, hey, men are playing football and so are women. So I feel like that's just a big thing that, hey, women can really do anything. And it's just going to give them a lot of opportunities to be able to express themselves and be the first women's flag football team at Fort Scott.
To be able to be one of the leaders in the region, to be able to provide that new opportunity is something that we're very excited about.
The Outlaws are in the midst of a 4-game series against the Bombers. Joplin lost to Sedalia in the opener 8-3. A doubleheader tonight. In Game 1, the Outlaws needed to bounce back, and that they did. Joplin sets the tone with a 9-run first inning, finishing with a blowout 13-3 victory. Logan Klein, the star of the game, 3 for 4. He had 2 doubles and drove in 6 runs. And that's nearly half the team's total runs. Hard to top the excitement of that first game, but the Outlaws are making a case. Jeb Jenkins has a grand slam. Caleb Fearstake a 2-run homer. Bombers also playing well though. Sedalia leads 8-6 in the 5th. The Royals are looking to climb out of the bottom of the Central Division standings. Good start to their road series with the Brewers. Casey got the win in Milwaukee on Tuesday. Today is Game 2. Andrew Benintendi gets the Royals offense going in the 4th, deep into the left corner. 2-out RBI double. Next batter, Hunter Dozier, gets this one to fall. Benintendi makes it around. Royals up by 2. Later tie game here, but Nicky Lopez doubles off the back wall. That scores 2, so the Royals regain the lead, and Jorge Soler gives that lead some padding, solo home run to make it 6-3. That score stands. Royals win and get the series sweep. The Cardinals and the Cubs series is currently tied at 1 game apiece. In Game 3 of 4, Cards tie it up in the 7th. Harrison Bader doubles to score Paul DeYoung. Adam Wainwright goes 7 innings with 5 Ks. Back with more news after this.
Continues to be a surge of migrants at the southern border, and with them, an increasing number of COVID-positive detainees. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington on how the Biden administration is weighing whether to roll back more Trump-era policies. As Republicans say, the situation is out of control.
The immigration situation in the Rio Grande sector growing worse. That area sees more than 2,000 apprehensions per day. And between October 2020 and June 2021, according to Customs and Border Protection, there have been more than 1 million encounters at the southern border. Fox has confirmed there were 135 COVID-positive detainees in just the first 2 weeks of July. Republicans say the Biden administration is only making things worse by rolling back Republican policies.
Every time they propose a new idea, it always involves processing illegal aliens into the country faster rather than stopping them from coming in the first place.
But for many Democrats, they want the Biden administration to go farther and rescind the Trump-era public health order, Title 42.
Early on, we called out this policy as the human rights violation that it is.
Title 42 allowed for the immediate expulsion of illegal migrant adults during the pandemic, but Democrats say it's denying people due process and asylum.
It's clear that the continued use of Title 42 is not helping our country fight this virus, and even worse, it's actively hurting thousands of families.
However, as the pandemic continues and the Delta variant is surging, Republicans say reversing the order will make Customs and Border Patrol officers' jobs more dangerous and expose more Americans to the virus.
The Biden administration is contributing to the spread of this virus by releasing illegal immigrants against the law into our communities.
To slow the spread of the Delta variant, the Department of Homeland Security has extended its restrictions on non-essential travel from Mexico and Canada through August 21st. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Next, going to preview the reboot of a classic many of us remember. Yeah, right there, Turner and Hooch. As a kid, I remember this TV series made me want to get a dog to begin with. A TV series reboot of Turner and Hooch is now available to stream on Disney+. Lead star Josh Peck talks about taking over a role originally played by Tom Hanks and shares details about the character he plays. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the story.
Hey, Scotty. This is Hooch. Josh Peck is filling big shoes as the lead of the Disney Plus reboot of Turner and Hooch.
Entering into anything that one of our greatest actors of our generation has done is always intimidating. I'm such a fan of the original movie and watching Tom Hanks in that, and I was so excited to know that our series for Disney Plus was a continuation but not a remake. Because you have to be careful with people's memories and the things they hold dear from their childhood, and you do not want to do anything to mess with that.
Peck plays Scott Turner Jr., the son of Tom Hanks' character from the 1989 original film. While Hanks was a small-town rookie cop, Scott Jr. is a rookie U.S. Marshal based in San Francisco.
My character, he wants to, like many guys, be the antithesis of his dad. He wants to become a U.S. Marshal, which is this very fancy federal law enforcement job that, you're constantly chasing some of the worst people out there. He has this very clean apartment and his best friend is a Roomba, and he's got this beautiful, very specific, small little life.
But just like his dad before him, Scott Jr.'s life changes when he inherits a big, unruly dog as his partner.
A French Mastiff comes in and completely sort of is the wrecking ball to his life. And in many ways, the dog that he never wanted becomes the dog he always needed. Because not only does he open up my character and make him realize that there's something bigger than himself, he's also pretty good at solving crimes.
The 12-episode series is now available to stream on Disney+. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of an albino kangaroo mother and her new Joey in Ukraine. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.